Somos hermanos, también alegría, todos unidos en esta vida. Somos viajeros y somos la guía, mares abiertos sanan la herida. Somos la tierra, la flor y la arena, somos el árbol y la pradera, somos la luna, el sol y el agua, somos la jungla, el bosque y la calma. Somos almas unidas, cantemos juntos paz, armonía, luz, amor y energía, somos la voz, conciencia encendida. Somos montañas, el cielo y la lluvia, somos estrellas, somos dulzura, somos sonrisa como el arco iris, somos simpleza, somos belleza. Somos almas unidas, cantemos juntos paz y armonía, luz, amor y energía, somos la voz, conciencia encendida. Coraje como el horizonte, somos el viento, somos aliento, somos el día, el motor y el tiempo, somos abrazos, somos hermanos. Somos almas unidas, cantemos juntos paz y armonía, luz, amor y energía, somos la voz, conciencia encendida. Somos almas unidas, cantemos juntos paz y armonía, luz, amor y energía, somos la voz, conciencia encendida. Y somos almas unidas, cantemos juntos paz y armonía, luz, amor y energía, somos la voz, conciencia encendida. Somos hermanos.
Already know these names. Andi and Jonathan Goldman are people who have worked in the community for a while. They have dedicated their lives into the sound healing. It's also they have helped a lot of people. And I understand that you came up. Jonathan, you tell me if I am wrong, but my understanding is that you came up with the sound, so the youth hey Bafhei name.
The divine
name, correct? Yes.
The divine name. There you go.
Yes. That's the book. But I was thinking of the sound, so I'm sorry if I didn't mention the book straightforward.
And before even all that, before we give you, the words, I just want to just share with the audience, how I got into first Jonathan Goldman. Most of you, who are here in the audience, watching, I'm a rabbi, but also I was trained as a cantor and musician. And I had a chance once to rediscover a few years ago, 3 years ago, that my voice also can heal in different ways other than just the synagogue. It was during a seminar, a festival of healing that we did in Santa Marta with Marcela. And in the middle of an exercise, I ended up just chanting, singing, and and the person who had some blockages here, she heard my sound and my voice, and she was able to unblock, and she was able to heal, and she told me that. And then I just went to Marcela and said, she mentioned this to me, and I feel that actually I need to start studying voice healing, or get something like that, and ended up having inscribed or registered myself into a 2-year program with one person who studied with you, among all the people who studied with you, Jonathan, who was my teacher, Karina Quiroga from Argentina. And among the books, that we received as part of the program, there it was, your amazing book of the humming effect.
Oh,
In love with the humming effect, to the point that I started to use it. I taught Marcela how to.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I read it in Spanish. Funny enough, you should know your books are in the languages.
thank
Not that
you.
I don't know English, but that was in Spanish. That was available first for me, and since then I started to really read more about your work. I never thought I was going to have you here in front of us, in this YouTube, in our channel, and then we exchanged some emails when I finally also asked Karina, my teacher, to work on harmonics. I wanted to develop more the harmonics, and she said the way I learned my harmonics really started with Jonathan Goldman's books as well, and the work that I did with him in the United States, and then I contacted you. And then you responded, and it was just amazing to really have that connection. Thank you both to be here, and I was able to watch the workshop that you both recorded on 11/11, which I understand is a big day for you too. You were right, and here we are. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much.
Oh. Marcela and Gaston, thank you for inviting us. It is our joy and our honor to be here today, and delighted that we get to share with your community.
Absolutely.
It's always a great, if you like, a great plus to any interview when we're able to talk with couples who are working together, because on a level that is the greatest benefit of it's like 1 + 1 = 3 when you're in a relationship and able to work together. So you are another example of couples that work together and co-create together, and we are honored to be sharing with you and your audience.
Oh, absolutely. We were
So
looking
let's
forward to this also.
so let's cut to the cheese. Let's talk about you both, a little bit of how this started, what inspired you to start all the journey of yours, and what have you learned from this journey? And yeah,
Where
do we begin?
Where to begin? Well, I will say that Jonathan and I have been working together in the field of sound healing for around 30 years now. However, Jonathan has been involved way before that. So for 45 years.
Totally. So without going deeply into my past, I have been working in the field of sound since 1979, 1980. And I have a number of different books. I happen to have a couple here so I can hold up. We talked about the humming effect, and here's another one called Healing Sounds. And here's another one, which is a great book called The 7 Secrets of Sound Healing. And these all may be available in Espanol or in a lot of different languages. And I have a whole lot of different recordings. I'm just going to hold this up because this is actually not available until next week as a CD, but it's on Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, and it's called Sonic Oasis. And the idea of this was simply to take all my 25, 30 different albums that are about an hour long, and people are so time compressed that I was given the assignment to take my recordings and edited them down to about 3 minutes in length so that people who didn't have time for a sound bath could have a sound shower.
Well, one of the most important things is it's to give conscious to the community of the importance of sound. You know, the more and more science try to, during time, try to kind of like discourage from sound, from breathing in the past, telling people that that was not enough to, let's say, to bring to them health or elevation or vibration or feeling better. So I would like for you both who are experts to share with our community what are the benefits of sound healing and what it means. I mean, do I need always the
sounding bowl.
The sounding bowl. So what is it, sound healing? How can I do it if I am a normal, non-knowledgeable person or not even open to this?
Oh, well, that's a great place for us to start, Marcella, because, sound is really coming into people's consciousness now, and in ways that we had envisioned 20 years ago. We thought, because we know how powerful sound is for healing, and I'm talking about healing on many different levels, body, mind, and spirit. And you can, with your own voice, you can begin to work with sound, and which was why we actually wrote our book, The Humming Effect, which we'd like to talk about, because it's a beautiful way for people to get to open to the world of sound and to be able to know that they themselves can actually utilize sound healing, even simply through humming.
It might be a good idea if we set forward what is called the 4 pillars of sound healing as a concept for you all, so that we could share with our audience just really the basis of using sound for healing. And would that be okay? Okay. Okay, the 4 pillars of sound healing.
Let's give a little background before we do that. Because one of the things that Jonathan and I are really dedicated in doing is spreading the word about sound healing. And certainly through Jonathan's music, many people have been introduced to Jonathan's work. But, we really love to teach people how to use sound. And we've written several books. We have The Humming Effect, Chakra Frequencies. I don't have a copy of that right now.
It's under there. We're not going to get it.
But both of these books and The Divine Name won the Best Alternative Health Book of the Year
for Visionary Awards.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. There we are. And so one of the things that we thought, because sound is becoming so important for people, and they are opening up more and more to it, and they're not too clear exactly what sound healing is.
Sometimes there's a lot of misunderstanding. So we basically created 4 principles. We call them the 4 pillars of sound healing. And we'll just go over them briefly. They're basically found in all of our books, but we just codify them to make them easy to do a little teaching. So if we may, the very first pillar is that everything is vibration. In the beginning was the Word. And the Lord said, let there be light. Sound preceding light. The ancient mystical traditions from all over, from the Hindu tradition, from the Hopi tradition, from all over, talk about sound as being the original creative force. And now our quantum physicists are also saying that everything is in vibration. They're even talking about string theory, where there are all these multiverses that are vibrating at slightly different rates. It's quite an amazing phenomenon, but the idea that everything is in a state of vibration, including our body. Every organ, every bone, every tissue, every part of our body is in a state of vibration. And when we're feeling good, we say we're in sound health. Now, the idea of using sound as a healing modality is simply this. If we are like this overall orchestra that is playing the symphony of the self with every organ, every bone, every tissue working in its normal, healthy, resonant frequency. But what happens if the second violin player loses their sheet music? They begin to play out of tune, out of harmony. Pretty soon, if you like, something is wrong. It's almost like a part of the body is vibrating out of ease or out of harmony, and we say it is diseased. So then the idea of simply restoring health is to give the string player back their sheet music, somehow to restore the correct resonant frequency to the part of the body that is needing healing. And we have all sorts of different instruments for healing, but we really like the voice as a, if you like, major instrument. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Andi, how about the two ways that sound affects us?
Okay. And that, because this is all what I want to do, though, Jonathan, is go over the four pillars so that people have a little bit of a gestalt on, what they are. So Jonathan was just talking about everything is vibration. And the second one, and we'll delve more deeply into all of these. The second one is intent is powerful. We really want to talk about intention when we are talking about working with sound as a healing modality. The third pillar is we are all unique vibratory beings, meaning we're going to be affected very uniquely to different sounds. The last pillar is silence is golden. Once we make sound, we then need to be in silence to allow the shifts and changes to actually occur. So I wanted to just give that overall gestalt. And then, because you talked about vibration, because everything is in vibration.
Indeed. And Andi also, incidentally, is an award-winning, well-known psychotherapist. So she's really good
Thank you.
at communicating and talking to people.
I'm just enjoying an ambition to have this when I am your age.
Marcela is the clinical social worker, the psychotherapist, the energy healer. Here's the sound guy, So we see some resemblance here, which is beautiful.
Yes, we're very impressed. So I took notes. I'm a good student. So the four pillars of a sound healer, everything is vibration. So I'm going to ask you a question that my dad, when I was trying to teach him, asked me, so what do you mean? What is vibration? What is frequency? So do you have a way to explain what vibration for people who doesn't know?
For preschoolers.
Sound,
exactly.
Sound travels as a waveform. This wave is measured in cycles per second, which is scientifically called its frequency. We hear from around 20 of these frequencies per second, 20 hertz, if you like, to around 20,000. That's our range of hearing. But just because something is not within our range of hearing doesn't mean that there isn't a sound. Our friends in the ocean, the dolphins, can hear upwards of 180,000 cycles a second, which is more than basically 20 times our level of hearing. And there may be nothing going on in terms of us, but they may be exchanging, if you like, information about how to get through the Bering Strait together, or recipes for tuna noodle casserole, or communicating with the energy of the Sirius star system, where they are said to have originated. So we don't know, but they can actually encode holographic encyclopedic information on the bursts and clicks of information energy. So there is indeed, there's more to sound, A, than what we can hear. And number two, as I'd be telling your father or mother or anybody, the idea is that from the electrons moving around the nucleus of an atom, to planets in distant galaxies moving around their suns. They're all in a state of motion. They're therefore all in a state of vibration, and conceptually, they can be understood as being in sound. And that includes every organ, every bone, every part of our body that I was talking about. So everything is in a state of vibration. And on a level, if you can restore harmony back to that part of the body, brain, etheric field, whatever, chakras, that has lost its harmonic resonance, then you basically not only put it in balance, but oftentimes you find that blocked energy creates inflammation, creates imbalances. And if you can free the blocked energy, then you can usually release the pain. You can put stuff back in motion and balance. Does this make sense as a concept, as an overall?
I got it. So let me just rephrase just a little bit. So okay, with the sound, we can help to heal not only emotions but also body, because of the vibration of the sound. The fastest it is, probably the highest to the lowest. Like I said, I'm ADHD, so I'm sorry. Sometimes I go too fast, but so is there vibration for each organ in order to be able to heal it or to support the healing?
Most probably, yes. And I have a lot of instruments that are designed to affect this. I'd really like to suggest that we move on to the second, if you like, pillar. But first, Andy, just talk about the two different ways that sound affects us.
So because, the frequency and the vibration, that's, an important piece to really be able to understand. But really more so than that is to the way in which we actually experience sound, the way we're affected by sound. And there are two ways through what we call psychoacoustics. That is when the sound goes directly into the ears, travels down the auditory pathway up to the brain, and it affects then our brain waves and our nervous system and our heart rate. And so when we're listening to specific sounds that have been designed for healing, that is called psychoacoustics. Now, the other way that we actually experience sound is what we call vibroacoustics. And vibroacoustics is when the sound goes directly into the body, not just through the ears, but also in through the body. And we actually...
Can I demonstrate?
Oh, right. We have a tuning fork, which is a good way to explain psycho.
So if I go like this and you can't hear it, but I can hear the sound of the tuning fork going into my ear. It's a very, very deep, low sound. This one is specifically designed to be used on the body, but this is psychoacoustics. And as we speak, that's psychoacoustics. But when I hit it and I put the stem, which is vibrating on my body, this is vibroacoustics. The sound is going into the body and affecting us, going down the acupuncture meridians. It's going into us on a cellular level. Great for creating. Here's actually a quote from the New York Times science section. February 8th, 1988. Sound shaped into dazzling tool can make, break, or rearrange molecular structure. If you can rearrange molecular structure, conceptually, there are almost no conditions that cannot be healed, or all conditions are potentially healable using sound.
Right. And what's interesting about vibroacoustics, which is where the sound goes directly into the body, what we have discovered is that through the simple act of humming, and we have a whole protocol for conscious humming, that is the most powerful vibroacoustic sound that we know about. And we have the power within ourselves to actually be our own therapist. And if we are, really feeling super stressed, we can stop, breathe, and start humming. And we'll talk more about that in a minute, because we do call it conscious humming, and it is a little bit different than just, humming a tune. But at any rate, the beauty of working with our own voice is that we have the availability of our voice all the time. And so if we can't get to a therapist, hey, let's see what we can do through our voice.
Okay, now the second, if you like, pillar is that intent is powerful. And I'm just going to go through this really quickly, but 40 years ago or more, I was at a master's degree program at Lesley University, and I had a pile of papers about this high that had all these different systems of using sound and music for healing. And coming from a family of doctors, I had a very, very well-developed left logical brain, and I was putting this all together, and I realized that all these different doctors and spiritual masters had given me information about how they had used sound for healing. And I thought I was going to be the first person to put it all together and have it just like align all give you the specific frequencies for each organ and whatnot. But instead, what I found was that Dr. X would be using one set of frequencies for one organ. Dr. Y would be using another set of frequencies for the same organ. Spiritual Master A would be using a mantra for a chakra, and Spiritual Master B would be using a different mantra for the same chakra. And I thought, how can this be? How can this be? It doesn't make any sense. And then an inner voice said it is not only the frequency of the sound that creates its effect, but also the intention of the person making and receiving the sound. And I wrote down the words frequency plus intent equals healing. Frequency plus intent equals healing. And this now, more than 40 years later, is more relevant than ever.
And so the beauty of that formula, frequency plus intent equals healing, is that when we are making sound, we can set an intention to, perhaps bring us balance, perhaps help us to de-stress a little bit. We can set that intention and then utilize the sound to go to that part of our body, for instance, that then can, because of the frequencies, because of the vibration, the sound can travel with our intention. If you have a headache, sometimes I'll just start humming and imagine that hum is going into this, whatever part of my head hurts. And we have that ability through intention and through sound.
And you have a lot of people, when we first started doing this, scientists and whatnot would look at us like we were really off-planet beings, which we might be, but they weren't supposed to know that.
Which is kind of okay.
Yeah, we like that.
But then you have people.
Okay. We accept it.
Then we began to have people like Wayne Dyer doing a TV series on the power of intention, or Dr. Bruce Lipton writing The Biology of Belief, or Joe Dispenza doing You Are the Placebo, or Lynn McTaggart doing the intention experiments. And intentions now is something that people are beginning to perceive of, but just understanding that sound can carry the consciousness that we project on it and have that outcome. And this includes our voice. So we can use our voice, our conversational voice, as a healing instrument if we project compassion and kindness.
Indeed. And that, let me go on to our third pillar, which is we are all unique vibratory beings. And what we mean by that is that each one of us is going to experience, whether it's psychoacoustic effect or vibroacoustic effect, whatever the sound is, we're going to experience it in our own very unique way. And, oftentimes when Jonathan and I are doing a workshop, we will ask, how many people in the workshop are allergic to, say, penicillin? And about a fourth of the group, will raise their hand.
You guys, either of you two are allergic to penicillin?
No.
Andy is.
I am.
So it's 1/4.
But, and then that kind of lets people know, oh, yeah, not everything is going to work. There's not one size that fits all. I think that's the bottom line.
And understanding that penicillin, like everything else, is a vibration. And therefore, for 3/4 of us, it's a healing vibration, but for 1/4, it is toxic. And whether it's food, supplements, pharmaceuticals, or anything, nothing that we have found is going to be a magic frequency that works for everybody, because we're all different.
And we're all unique. We really love for people to know that, because, then they can go, oh, well, so-and-so had this experience. I didn't have that. It doesn't, that's not what it's about. You're going to experience it in the way in which you need to experience it. So it's always going to be unique.
Este año con Tzimtzum tienes la oportunidad de vivenciar unas altas fiestas Rosh Hashanah y Yom Kippur de una manera muy especial, de una manera mística, musical, cabalística, holística en la naturaleza, con ejercicios terapéuticos, expresiva, con la oportunidad de entender más lo que hacemos, entender más por qué estamos aquí y entender mucho más lo que es el autoperdón, la compasión, el autoamor.
You just mentioned something that called my attention very deeply. It's penicillin. It was penicillin, the one that, it has a healing vibration, meaning things that you eat and things that you, things that you eat have a level of vibration, ingest, have a vibration.
Everything is vibration.
It has molecules. It has, it has what it needs to have.
Okay. Now we go. We are all unique
Vibratory.
beings. And then the fourth one is silence.
Silence is golden.
Silence. And you know what? We wanted to include that in the foundational information of the 4 pillars, because that is something that most people are not really conscious of. Silence is very difficult for some people, for most people, really. And, when we are making sound, when we are involved in any level of sound, then if we can go into silence, that's when the shifts and changes begin to really happen in our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. And so we really try to make people aware of the importance of not only being in sound, but then being in silence.
I like to say that silence is the yin to the yang of sound. And they're both necessary to create a coherent unit. And it's so important that we, after we've made sound and done sonic activity, to be in a place of silence so the sound can encode itself upon our body, mind, or spirit, so to speak. Because if you just go, then has not had a chance to encode itself. So it's much more effective with silence.
Right.
I have a question.
This is such a class.
I have a question for the two of you. Now, when you go in silence, of course, the whole integration happens. A lot of, that's so important. My question is the following. What do we do about when we go in silence and the vibration of people's thoughts? And the moment we go in silence, there is no sound per se, but there's a sound inside, right? Like the voice inside, the inner voice. And there are people. So how can we create real silence?
How can we quiet our mind?
How we can knock out everyone like in real silence?
Talking about the monkey mind.
Right.
Monkey mind.
Well, that is a huge question. Huge. We can spend an hour just discussing that a little bit. I would probably say that on one level, in certain spiritual traditions, listening in the silence and traveling on the silence, you can actually travel to higher levels of consciousness and the divine. And by consciously listening on that level, it really actually stops, as Andi was saying, the monkey mind. Those voices all of a sudden become, when you start really listening well, then the voices drop away and you just tap into the silence, which is why on a level we're very much into, we want to talk about humming right now because that just so leads gloriously into what you were saying.
Well, and when you were just saying that, I wanted to bring in humming, because when we are doing an exercise, say for 5 minutes of humming. What happens is that when we're really deeply involved in the exercise, our minds really do get turned off, because you're really focusing on the sound. And we're going to go over we do conscious humming in a moment, but the sound, when you really are in it, and then you go into silence, that monkey mind can actually diminish. And what happens instead, the wisdom mind takes over. And so, I wanted to mention that, but I would love to talk a little bit about the humming effect.
Okay, so real quick.
Yes.
And we work with all sorts of different sounds. As you know, I work with the divine name, and I work with the Tibetan deep voice and all sorts of chanting. And we have taught harmonics, vowels, all this other stuff. But we were looking for something. So many people have, if you like, blocked throat chakras. And they're so judgmental about their sounds. We're looking for what's a sound that we can use that everybody can make. And we looked at each other and we went,
And that started our journey.
What is it?
I love that. I love that. And that hum started our journey into our next book, which of course ended up being The Humming Effect.
And bottom line, after we'd done all this incredible research and found amazing things, we realized that this would be the first book that was ever professionally published on the subject of humming. And that in order for people to take such a simple sound seriously, a lot of S's with that, simple sound seriously, it was really important that the first chapter be really nothing more or less than what is called peer-reviewed or scientific data on the, if you like, physiological benefits of humming. And we're going to tell you what some of them are right now, just so that your listeners can really get that this is serious.
Well, when we are simply humming, and many physiological benefits are occurring as we are humming. In fact, our heart rate is lowered, our brain waves, our respiration, all of that is lowered.
That's so important too. Just without going for, if you can lower your heart rate,
yes,
and your pulse, and you can, I've done this myself, and I've done conscious humming for a couple of minutes, and my blood pressure will drop 10 to 20 points. And a lot of people have experienced the same thing. That's phenomenal. That's so important because people are so stressed out these days.
Right. There's more oxygen that is released into our cells. There's different hormones that are emitted through using our voice and through humming, such as the release of melatonin, which is great because that, is our sleep cycle. And sometimes if I am having trouble sleeping, I'll start humming and that will help me to get back to sleep. Also, the hormone oxytocin is released when we are humming. That's the trust hormone. And so, there's a real sense of connection and not feeling separated when we are working with humming and with sounds too, not just humming, but chanting and oming and all of that. But it also releases a molecule called nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide, our friend. Nitric oxide was actually voted the molecule of the year by Science magazine in 1992.
The molecule of the year. It's a big deal.
And
I'm assuming she's very happy.
Thank you for the steering. So the molecule of the year, and it is a vasodilator, which means it widens the circulatory system, relaxes the circulatory system, letting the blood and all the nutrients in the blood, such as oxygen, flow more easily throughout the body, throughout all aspects of the body. That's number one. Number two, it is also an antiviral agent and an antibacterial agent, so that if people start feeling ill, there was a time when a lot of nasty bugs were going around, still are, and if they did nitric oxide humming, you would get 15 times the amount of nitric oxide that is projected, which is actually a pharmaceutical level, rather than when you're just doing regular breathing. So that's very, very important. And you also, yeah.
Sold question. How people can buy this book? Because I mean, so humming is
Boca Chiusa,
right?
Boca
Well,
Chiusa.
we're going to take you through the protocols in a minute. Would that
But
be okay?
people can get the book on our website, healingsounds.com. They can get it on Amazon. It's in bookstores. So just wherever you get your books.
It's on Kindle. It's available in all different
We
mediums.
have it in Audible, but so it's very available. And
we're here with bestsellers, people. Let's get clear. We're being honored here. Thank you so much.
Listen, we're going to give you a few more minutes because this is so important.
Absolutely. Let us give the protocols of conscious humming, and we'll then do a little bit of humming, because we can go a little bit after 2:15.
Yeah, we can. But here's just one more. You also, when you hum, get increased heart rate variability, which means the vagus nerve, which is a lot of people are now into the vagus nerve. There are two activities that you can do that can consciously affect the vagus nerve. One of them is taking deep breaths. The other is humming. And when we do conscious humming, we actually work with deep breathing and also humming. So you get both of those. So the vagus nerve, which controls the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic, it works to basically relax us and release tension. It's so important. So all of these things and more. But now we're going to talk about, drum roll, the protocols of conscious humming. Simply because, it's really easy to do. But one of the protocols is that you have to keep your lips closed when you hum. Now, I've had people say to us, I can hum with my lips open. I said, yeah, show me. They go, I said, no, that's not a hum. So I'm going to ask you both just to, and everybody who's watching and going to be watching this, to just hum on one note that's comfortable for you.
With your lips closed.
And yes, but also first start humming and then go, pinch your nose. You can't hum if your nose is pinched. No sound can be made. And that,
I was already. I thought that was the exercise.
No, trying to show that has.
I'm like, okay.
I mean, right or not.
But just as a thing, if you didn't know that, and then are there other things about the hum? We share that with people because when you hum, it becomes the most powerful vibroacoustic sound that you can make.
So basically, the beauty of humming is that when we do start to do conscious humming, we want to take that deep diaphragmatic breath, that belly breath, because that is, that helps our bodies to relax and it helps to really support the sound. So first of all, we take that deep breath. Our lips are closed. We're going to actually hum on just one note. And
not the 1812 overture or anything like that, just one note.
And we want to be sure and stay in our comfort zone. We want to have that comfortable pitch, and usually it's around the conversational voice. So you don't want to strain at it at all, and louder is not better. So just staying in that comfortable comfort zone is important when we are doing conscious humming. And oftentimes, we will hum for maybe 3 or 5 times, and then we will be in silence for that equal amount of time. And so, when we talk about the protocols of conscious humming, they really all include the 4 pillars of sound that we just even talked about. And I think we'd love to maybe
let's go through these once again.
Okay.
Because the first thing you want to do is you want to check yourself out, because you can't know where when you go somewhere, you really need to know where you've been. And so we have people check themselves out, then they do deep and relaxed breathing. You keep your lips closed. You hum on one note. You hum at a comfortable pitch. You hum 3 to 5 times, and then you stay in silence for an equal amount of time.
And we would love to take you through a brief experience of humming. And may we do that now, because we're going to make sure we have time to do this.
Great.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is to close your eyes and sit with your back straight if you can. And just take a couple of, not before we actually do the humming, let's just right now take a couple of nice deep breaths and just let it out with a sigh and let go of anything that is not serving you in this moment. And just take those nice deep breaths. Releasing with a sigh. And that's just a little way of getting our bodies in tune.
Check yourself out. What are you feeling now?
And now we will actually begin the formal exercise. And sometimes people do like to even put their hands on their abdomen, because you want that belly breath to really, be strong, and you can feel it that way. So we're going to take that nice, deep, deep breath. And on the exhale, we will then hum. So we'll begin now with the first one, breathing in.
Taking another nice deep breath.
Breathing in. And we'll do one more, taking that nice deep breath.
Let's do one more.
All right.
One more deep breath, and then
Breathing in. And now we'll be in silence for just a few moments. And once again, being in silence.
and checking yourself out and seeing how you're feeling now.
I'm feeling as though I needed. I needed to.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, and that was just a very, very brief experience. And of course, when you're, with your partner, when you're by yourself, you'll have, plenty of time to, extend those hums. We just did 4, but we encourage more, definitely.
And you all could feel that, couldn't you?
For sure.
Oh, wow.
At least we did. We did. Yes, we both did. Absolutely.
Great. Oh.
And it's just great for anybody to do if they're about to go into a meeting, if they're feeling a little stressed out. It's amazing how fast and powerful this simple thing is. And we teach it to everybody because the world is so stressed out.
And the real beauty about working with conscious humming is, once again, we become our own therapist. And so we have the power within us to, hey, I'm really stressed right now. I'm going to start humming and, set that intention. And, everyone can do that. And that's why we are so excited to be able to share the humming effect. And and I love the quote that we have on the back is by Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he says that it's a powerful non-pharmaceutical prescription for self-healing that has only positive side effects: healing, health, and harmony. So this has just been great to share this.
I just want to take a couple more minutes to talk about our great, if you like, interest right now, because I know you are dealing with planetary issues, and so are we.
Yes,
level
that
in
was my
terms
next
of
question.
our teaching.
Please do not leave without answering that question. I out of the cameras, I was asking them, what can you tell us about the present moment of our planets and the vibrations we're going through and the changes in energy and dimension or density that we're going through?
How about we suggest that in order for us to achieve the next level of planetary evolution, it is necessary for us to generate more kindness and compassion in our consciousness throughout the planet. We need to release greed and competition and get into kindness and cooperation. And the fastest, easiest, most powerful way that we know to do that is to work with intentionalized sound in group experiences, making sound that is intentionalized and coded with the energy of compassion, kindness, and love, and sending it out to what we call the Gaia matrix, the field of the planet. How are we feeding the field? Humans and human consciousness has the ability of interfacing with the Gaia matrix, with planetary consciousness, and we can literally shift and change the consciousness of all sentient beings, raising it up. And as people become more attuned to each other, they will act kinder to each other. If they realize that they are all one, then we will all of a sudden begin to stop. There's an incredible amount of divisiveness on this planet. And sound, compassionate sound, even the hum, if two people hum together, they're going to be connected like this. It's one of the great principles of sound.
And we do know that on our planet right now, the energies are quite intense, shall we say. And I think all the things that Jonathan just said with, staying in compassion and kindness is so important. But what's also very important is for us to be mindful of when we might be getting out of that place of compassion and judgment and all of that. Go back into, let me be in kindness, let me be in compassion. And so the important thing is we have got a choice at this time, because with our choices, we can stay in the energy field of love and light and compassion. So that's the choice that we're making, that we hope other people are making too, because then we're going to all be able to, live in some kind of peace and harmony.
One of the easiest ways for a lot of people, because sometimes they have difficulty to try to encode love or even compassion onto a thought, a sound, a breath, whatever. But the energy of gratitude seems to be the key. Mm-hmm. Just think of something that you're grateful for, and we're all grateful for something. Gratitude and appreciation, and then do that, because what happens is that the brain and the heart create an electromagnetic field. Each of them have a different electromagnetic field, but when they're in synchronization, when they are in resonance, what is called coherence together, that field is anywhere from 50 to 500 to some even say 5,000 times greater. And then if you add the element of sacred sound, there is a reason why the different spiritual texts on our planet are, for the most part, intoned vocally, because whether they're chanted, whispered, spoken, or sung, sound amplifies the power of prayer and meditation. So whether you're humming or doing a chant or a prayer, if you do it and you encode it with the energy of compassion and then send it out to the planet, you are feeding the field with some wonderful energy.
And we heal the planet.
We heal ourselves.
We heal ourselves.
And we heal the planet.
And we do really have that choice. And you know, one of the things that I did want to mention before we do have to go.
Este año con Tzimtzum tienes la oportunidad de vivenciar unas altas fiestas Rosh Hashanah y Yom Kippur de una manera muy especial, de una manera mística, musical, cabalística, holística en la naturaleza, con ejercicios terapéuticos, expresiva, con la oportunidad de entender más lo que hacemos, entender más por qué estamos aquí y entender mucho más lo que es el autoperdón, la compasión, el autoamor.
Is that once a month, Jonathan and I do a sound sat song, which is a sound teaching to our community. And people can go onto our website, which is healingsounds.com. They can sign up to be on our mailing list, and they'll get all kinds of information about our sound sat song and other things that we are doing.
Lastly, on a level also, we have a neat YouTube channel that has got all of the sound satsangs and a lot of teaching, and it's simply Jonathan Goldman Official. That's my YouTube channel. And, you know, you can go there and check it out, and do also join us with it in the sound satsangs that we actually do about a 10-minute or so guided global healing, planetary healing meditation. And we know that we send healing energy out to the planet that way. And please, you all take this energy and work with your group. Continue, because as Andi said, we heal the planet, we heal ourselves.
We heal ourselves and we heal the planet. And you guys, thank you so very, very much for having us on and giving us this beautiful opportunity to share with your beautiful audience all about sound.
Thank you.
Well, this has been such a class. We're so honored. So one more thing. I mean, I know you guys got to go, but is it possible for us to have it a second time so we can talk about your book of divine sound? And yes?
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely.
All right. Because we would like, just before you guys go, it is about the Yud-Heh Vav-Heh name, correct? Which is the tetragrammaton. I don't know how to say that in English.
Tetragrammaton.
That's how it is. Oh, okay.
Instead of
I mean, we just want to say that to you guys in our audience, and I don't want you to, I know you guys got to go. So thank you so much.
Oh, just many blessings of love and light through sound.
Indeed.
To both of you and to all the people listening.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Keep love and light and
you
sound.
Too. Thank you so much for spreading sound, love, compassion, kindness, and healing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
No, esta fue una de las entrevistas tal vez más lindas para nosotros, porque Jonathan Goldman es y su esposa Andi son uno de los más pues importantes ponentes de lo que es la salud a través o la sanación a través del sonido. Jonathan Goldman has several books, tiene bastantes libros, libros que tienen que ver con la sanación, la vibración, la frecuencia. If you're willing to go ahead and buy these books, they are just comprar estos libros, los pueden encontrar en Amazon, los pueden encontrar en su website, healingsounds.com. Jonathan mentioned in the interview, él mencionó en la entrevista que estos libros también están traducidos al español.
Sí, el de Hamming Effect no se llama Hamming Effect, se llama el efecto, se los debo, pero busquen Jonathan Goldman y lo van a encontrar, porque es un nombre diferente. El nombre, decir Hamming en español es como medio raro.
Bien, el humming es este sonido que hacemos así. Y básicamente lo que hacemos con esto es darle mucho valor a nuestro propio sonido, nuestra propia energía. A través de la historia nos han invitado a que siempre lo más bueno es lo que está afuera. pero el humming y el sonido nos invita a que usemos nuestra propia energía, nuestra propia voz y ayudamos a sanarnos hasta a nuestra propia voz. Esta ha sido una de las entrevistas, pues es en inglés, donde ojalá que podamos conseguir que la puedan traducir.
Sí, en el YouTube, cuando estén ahora lo estén viendo en el YouTube, todos ustedes pongan en el caption el CC que dice, que es como el subtítulo, y pongan en el settings, como en la tuerquita, le ponen español. También lo quieran ver en Swahili, pero si no lo ponen en español, en el caso que quieran en español, pero cualquiera puede verlo en cualquier lugar del mundo. Si tienes un amigo, un primo que vive en Italia o vive en Arabia Saudita, también lo pueden, porque realmente, gracias a Dios, tenemos subtítulos en todos los idiomas y es automático gracias a la artificial inteligencia.
Y nosotros queremos agradecerte por tenernos y suscribirte a nuestro canal. Sabemos que pues mucha gente trabaja en esto todo el tiempo y tiene mucho contenido muy seguido. Nosotros sabemos que quisiéramos hacer más contenido más seguido, pero pues nosotros tenemos la fundación y aparte de eso, pues nuestros propios trabajos, nuestras propias empresas que hemos creado, que todas son de servicio a la comunidad, pero pues a la misma vez este canal es dearly de nuestro corazón y lo hacemos con todo el alma. We invite you to subscribe to our channel. We know that we don't have a lot of content in English, but we will continue doing both in English and Spanish. Vamos a continuar haciendo en inglés y en español. Y bueno, chicos, fue un súper placer. Gracias por estar con nosotros and we will continue. Un besito bien grande. And let's finish with humming.
With humming, todos juntos.
Wow.
Y recuerden que frecuencia más intención
es
sanación.
Entonces, la entrevista en sí tiene mucho que ver con cómo el sonido hace una gran parte y puede trabajar muy bien para ayudarte a sanar, relajar tu cuerpo. Depende mucho del tipo de vibración y de sonido. Por eso la forma como hablamos, él hablaba de la intención, de cómo hablamos. Por ejemplo, el poder de la intención de Wayne Dyer, que pues ya él pasó de plano y él está ya Wayne Dyer con ¿cómo fue el libro que yo siempre leía que me encanta de Louise Hay?
Louise Hay.
Sí. Ellos trabajaron siempre el poder de la intención. Es cuál intención yo tengo. Aquí está. ¿Y cuál es my consciousness? Mi conciencia es donde yo estoy. A veces tú estás en un lugar, pero tu mente está en otra. Lo que quiere decir que tu intención está en donde está tu mente. Por eso mismo necesitamos aprender a controlar nuestra mente. De ahí viene inclusive todo lo que se llama las terapias clínicas conocidas como CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, viene básicamente de controlar tu conciencia. Donde está tu mente, estás tú. Donde está tu mente, está tu corazón. Donde está tu corazón, está tu acción. Entonces queremos invitarte a que eleves conciencia a través de este canal. Sabemos que a veces no pasamos muy seguido, pero aquí estamos y cada vez que estamos, hacemos calidad.
Te vamos a buscar el humming en común, que es pero naturalmente.
Ok, es que
vamos a hacer un común.